So for those of you that are unaware, Neera Tanden's nomination for OMB recently went up in flames, and it's confirmed they withdrew her nomination. She will not be the OMB, which is amazing. If those of you are, really into this stuff and you're looking online, you see that a lot of people on the left are very jubilant and they're high-fiving each other and really celebrating, really. And they should, because this is a victory for the left, no matter how you want to slice it. And if you are on the left and people from the right, the middle, or others that are a part of the same group that you're a part of try to tell you that it's not a victory, don't believe them, because they're full of shit. She is very vitriolic to left-wing policies, as well as Bernie Sanders and his supporters and anything progressive. She's a nominal progressive. People will try to tell you she's progressive or she fights for progressive policies. All of that is a lie, and I'll be debunking that in this video. So what I want to do first is play for you a clip from Joy Reid on MSNBC, and I want you to see how upset she is that Neera Tanden won't be the OMB. And don't just think that this is only Joy Reid. This kind of feeling, this animosity, this frustration is spread across the entire spectrum of corporate media. Take a look.
Okay, full disclosure, I know Neera Tanden. She is a friend of mine. Here we are at one of her recent birthday parties, pre-COVID, with our pal, Joan Walsh. But because I know her, I also know what she is not, and that is a bully or a Twitter troll. Yes, Neera, when she was the head of the Center for American Progress, did use her Twitter feed to critique people in politics. Here's Senator Rob Portman of Ohio whining about that during her confirmation hearings.
You wrote that Susan Collins is, quote, the worst, that Tom Cotton is a fraud, that vampires have more heart than Ted Cruz. You called Leader McConnell Moscow Mitch and Voldemort.
I mean, that stuff was kind of true, yeah. So here's the thing. Nothing that Neera ever said on Twitter comes close to the fat-shaming, abusive trolling, and mean tweets of Donald Trump or his acting intelligence director, Richard Grenell, or the policy cruelty and degradation of the offices they were confirmed for by any number of Trump's cabinet members. And let's not even start on the Supreme Court justices, whose hearings included crying about loving beer and defending accusations of sexual assault, all of which were just fine with Republicans, apparently, and not at all disqualifying. During the Tanden hearing, Senator Bernie Sanders, who leads the Budget Commission, was coy about how he would have voted on Neera's nomination. But his supporters, who, let's just remember, were rather famous for Twitter trolling and combat-style use of Twitter themselves, were high-fiving her withdrawal last night. And we never did find out how Kristen Sinema planned to vote on the nomination. The conservative Arizona senator remained tactically mum. What we do know is that Neera Tanden, a woman of color, was made to apologize on television for tweets. The lead Democrat responsible for torching Neera Tanden's nomination to become the first woman of color to lead the budget office, which would have been a huge feat for a child of immigrants who grew up on food stamps and lived in the projects with her single mom as the family clawed their way to the middle class. The person most responsible for making the math impossible was one Joseph Manchin III, considered the most conservative Democrat in the Senate and the scion of an old-time West Virginia political family.
Wow. Wow, what garbage. So let's just debunk pretty much everything she just said, because everything she just said was flat out wrong. So first off, she starts by saying, disclaimer, me and Neera are friends. Yeah, we already know that. Cut the bullshit. We already know that, okay? And she shows the picture of her at whatever event that was. And basically, everything she had to say, none of it made any sense. How many times did she say woman of color? Oh, she's a woman of color. She's a child of immigrants. She would be the first woman of color to lead the budget office. Notice how she's playing the identity game. What does being a woman of color, what does being a child of immigrants, what does any of that have to do with leading the office of budget? Does that give you like powers to be able to perform well in that position of some sort? Does that automatically provide you with the experience that you need in order to hold such a position? Like, enlighten me. I truly don't understand. What is being a woman of color and a child of immigrants, the child of a single mom who grew up in the project, she says? What does any of that have to do with overseeing the budget? She mentions none of her accomplishments. She mentions none of her feats. She says that it'll be a huge feat in its own merit that a child of immigrants, a woman of color, was the OMB, but that doesn't mean anything at all. It means absolutely nothing. And she says she clawed her way to the middle class, as if that's supposed to be, oh fuck, we gotta support her now. And she says, she says that she was very critical of the senators that asked her about her mean tweets. So this was like the big reason why they didn't vote for her mean tweets. Now, do I think that's kind of a little bit ridiculous? Kinda, but not really. Because listen to this. This is my thing. If you're gonna go on Twitter or whatever platform, and if you're gonna, demean and go at people and call them names and disrespect them and whatever, they have the right to feel a certain way about you. And so when it comes time for them to help you in whatever form or fashion, you can't get upset that they're thinking about that time that you called them an asshole and they're like, you know what? Nah, I don't really like this person. I don't think I want to help this person. That's just the way life is. That's just the way life is. You can't get upset at that. And she says that, I've known Neera for a long time, and the one thing that she isn't is a Twitter troll and a bully. No, I have news for you, Joy. She's exactly that. And I'm about to tell you why she is exactly that. And I love how she says that Bernie supporters were trolls online. No. Bernie supporters were not trolls online. Bernie supporters simply responded to the corruptness and the lies that corporate Democrats such as yourself would spew online, and they just corrected you. Remember back then when Elizabeth Warren encountered this problem with Bernie supporters and they were like tweeting snake emojis and a bunch of other stuff at her, right? But that's just social media. And they were just basically pointing out, no, you're wrong on this, and we're going to tell you that you're wrong, and we're going to shame you. But they took that as, oh, they're bullying me. It's trolling. How is that any different from what Neera Tanden is doing? That somehow trolling, and what Neera Tanden is doing isn't trolling? It doesn't make any sense to me. And she says the senator of Ohio was whining about the tweets. That's how she looks at it. He was whining about the tweets. Well, I have to tell you, the tweets are one thing. But what I'm about to get into next is really why you should be happy that she is not the OMB. Let's get into it. So I'm going to go down the list of her record. This isn't everything, okay? But these are just the things that I wanted to highlight the most. Okay, so she says that Neera Tanden, A, is not a troll, B, is not a bully. Well, she's a warmonger. She's an imperialist. She's a deficit hawk. She's insanely corrupt. And she is also a troll and a bully. So Neera Tanden, in an email a little while back, revealed that she wanted to bomb Libya, steal its oil, and use the money to pay down the U.S. deficit. And the only reason we know about this is because her employees outed her. Most likely because she was so, bad to them and, castrated them the same way that she does to everybody else on social media, in real life, whatever. She was the head of CAP, Center for American Progress. This was basically meant to be like a shadow government for Hillary Clinton. And so this organization that she was the head of, it was taking money from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Israel. And I'm talking about millions of dollars. So insanely corrupt. She took money from Bloomberg. And as a result of taking money from Bloomberg, they got rid of reports that was critical of Bloomberg and his policies. She punched a guy who asked Hillary Clinton about her support for the Iraq war. Remember, Hillary was very staunch in her support for the Iraq war. She voted for the Iraq war, as did Joe Biden. She punched the guy. His name was Fahad Shakir, by the way. She outed sexual harassment complainants. Oh, and by the way, the guy that she punched, she said that she only pushed him. That was her defense. Not that she didn't do it. Not that it was, no, she only pushed him. Okay. She pledges allegiance to Hillary Clinton. She looked to Hillary Clinton as some sort of a mentor, a deity, a god. Like, as I said, Center for American Progress was meant to be the shadow government when Hillary won, which she ultimately didn't. I wonder why. She was a leading Russiagate conspiracist. She honestly really led the charge for the Russiagate thing. Okay, her leader didn't win, and so she had to figure out She had to come up with some sort of excuse as to why Hillary Clinton lost the election. And last, and certainly not least, she argued for cuts to Social Security. I mean, what the fuck? Oh, and by the way, even though her nomination was withdrawn, they're still going to put her in the cabinet somehow. Something that doesn't require her to be elected, so to speak. So this is a statement from Joe Biden. I have accepted Neera Tanden's request to withdraw her name from the nomination for the Director of Office of Management and Budget. I have the utmost respect for her record of accomplishment. Anyway, her experience and her counsel. What experience? I look forward to having her serve in a role in my administration. She will bring valuable perspective and insight to our work. That's a quote from Joe Biden. So she's still going to be in the administration. I don't know what, but I'm glad it's not OMB. So basically, in a nutshell, this is who Neera Tanden is, not the made up fucking character that Joy Reid thinks that she is or says that she is. This is who she is, the person that I just explained to you, okay? The corrupt, warmongering imperialist that wants to cut Social Security, okay? This is who she is. No one else. She is nothing else but that, but what I just outlined for you, okay? Now, also, just as a side note, Senator Murkowski, it kind of came down to her whether she was going to support Neera Tanden or not, and she really didn't give an answer, right? But the White House, they pulled her nomination anyway. And if she would have voted for Neera, it would have came down to Bernie Sanders, actually, who never specified how he was going to vote. So that would have been extremely interesting. But of course, we didn't get to that point. They withdrew her nomination, and I'm glad. And anybody on the left should be happy because this is a victory. And honestly, no one worse than her could be the OMB. So there's nothing to worry about there. Neera Tanden is a true enemy to the left in any kind of progressive policies. And don't let anyone try to tell you otherwise.